Hi, I'm Tim Zacharias with Cougar USA, and I'm your host of Building Value. We are on location today in Orlando, Florida at the Orange County Convention Center for the 2020 AHR Expo, and I'm sitting down with Travis Glover with Southeast Pump and Equipment. Thanks for joining me.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
Pleasure to be here.
Yeah, we've got a great show for you today. We're going to be talking about the history of Southeast Pump and Equipment, great second-generation family business, similar to Cougar. We're also going to talk about some of the water challenges in the Atlanta area and the partnership that we have between Cougar and Southeast Pump. On Building Value, we go behind the scenes at some of the most iconic buildings in Texas to showcase the incredible people that design, build, and maintain them and their impact on the community. So tell me a little bit more about Southeast Pump and the territory that you serve and the products that you're offering.
Well, primarily we're covering Georgia at the moment, and so our primary markets that we serve are commercial, institutional, HVAC, plumbing market, and we sell mechanical equipment, pumping equipment, heat exchangers, cooling towers, filtration products, but primarily we'd like to be more of a systems approach to not just sell one component, but look at the system on a comprehensive basis to optimize, whether it's efficiency, reliability, and try to help the building owners and our customers find solutions to some really challenging problems they're having right now in Atlanta.
Yeah, I agree with that systems approach. It's really important to understand the big picture to be able to, offer some of those components. So what are some of the unique challenges for facilities managers and building engineers in your area?
Well, for the Metro Atlanta area, we are still a very fast-growing metropolitan area that's served by one of the smallest watersheds in the United States. So our biggest challenge, in my opinion, and I believe this to be true, the building owners to find this to be true, is water.
Yeah.
And water supply, water quality, and it's the resources are, it's a challenging. All of our water, it comes from, it's all surface water primarily in the Metro Atlanta area, and so as the population keeps coming in, we have to do more and more in conserving our water use.
Yeah, I think it's something a lot of people have taken for granted for a long time. And there's been a few major kind of instances, I think, that have that kind of hit the national spotlight where people are starting to pay a little bit more attention to where their water's coming from or what's going on in their water. And there was a case recently in Atlanta with some Legionella breakout in one of the hotels. What has that meant for the city, and how are you guys prepared to kind of help building owners avoid that?
Okay, so that's a great question, and I agree with you. It's been kind of taken for granted to some degree. We did have, unfortunately, we had a Legionella disease outbreak in Atlanta this past summer, and it was kind of a eye-awakening experience for not just that one particular hotel owner, but really the surrounding community.
Yep.
Because a lot of people really don't understand, what the bacteria is and how it could be harmful, and how it could be harmful to a building owner in the long run, and what they need to be doing proactively to take certain measures to prevent it from entering their building, whether it's a brand new building that they're from design or an existing building, to say, hey, look, do we have a water management plan, A, and do we have the necessary team members there that can help prevent an outbreak?
Sure.
And what are we doing? So what we have done is we like to go in and help building owners identify and talk about it, right? So, identify any potential problems, any potential risk sources, and then come up with solutions and a plan to help them prevent it. And one of the part of the plan is, everybody needs to become familiar with Standard 188. That's the first step, and then putting the systems in place that can help, protect it. And per the CDC, they state that, keeping the Legionella bacteria out of your building is key to preventing infection.
Yeah.
And that's
Eliminate
stated
the source, yeah.
That's stated right on their Fast Facts website. So on Legionella.
What is Standard 188?
Standard 188 is
yeah.
ASHRAE's. It's a water management plan, and the whole premise of having the plan is to identify the potential sources that could pose a risk for Legionella outbreak, Legionnaire's disease outbreak, and I think that you gotta measure it. You gotta test. If you're not testing, you're not measuring, and if you're not measuring, you're not managing it.
Sure.
So those are the real important steps. But then also, take it from a proactive measure, and then if you do have an outbreak, have a plan to react to it.
Sure.
And so you can minimize the risk.
So what are some of these? I think the main targets on some of these types for the Legionella bacteria is going to be the cooling towers, but it was fountains. Hot water systems,
right? Yeah. So
like
most of the outbreaks are on the domestic water side. So, it's in my opinion that to put in filtration system at the point of entry to your building, that is proven technology that can kill the bacteria. That technology exists today.
Sure.
And that's what we do at Southeast Pump and Equipment is we take on the innovative technologies and create systems. A system approach to prevent the bacteria from coming in your building. That's the key.
Yeah. So what are you providing as part of that system?
Well, the key component of that system is the filtration system. So the filtration system that we use is called Triple Clear, and it's an outstanding product. It's it's originally developed for NASA.
Yep.
So it was developed for the space travel, the space station, and the space vehicle.
Yeah, challenges of reusing water in space, right?
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
yeah.
And so that was the primary use, but they repurposed it and commercialized it because it's so effective in killing bacteria and viruses.
Yep.
That it's been widely accepted here as solving that problem.
Yep. Yeah, we're using it as well in Houston, and now every water or every point of use in our office has the Triple Clear on it. So
it's outstanding.
we are good in our office. So.
Cougar is protected.
Yes. So what else? Beyond the filtration, what other some other things that you guys can do as part of that system?
Well, we use a water conditioning system called HydroFlow, which is also proven to kill the bacteria, and it has it's been proven to kill bacteria at 99.9% kill rate. So by combining the two technologies, we have a fail-safe proof of system to greatly reduce the risk of any potential outbreaks.
Yeah.
Even on remediation side, we've been able to go in where they've had continued problems with high counts of Legionella, and by combining the two technologies, we've been able to get non-detectable test results back.
Wow. So. Yeah, and then you could also pair that with the TowerTech cooling towers, and now you're talking about not only reducing the places where the Legionella can grow, but I know one of the other big challenges for you guys in Atlanta is the price of water, right?
Exactly. Yeah. So water conservation and the cost of water. Atlanta currently has the second highest water costs in the country, primarily due to the high cost of the sewer side of that. So, I think it's I got to recheck the figures for this year, but 2020. But we were approaching $31 a 1,000 gallons. That's combined water and sewer rate.
Yeah. Yeah.
So saving that water is extremely important. Making sure you have safe water is extremely important to us here in Atlanta, and those are some really key areas that we're focusing on right now, because it's just risen to a high level right now, and we have the technology that we can help solve these problems.
Yeah, and I mean the Triple Clear filtration also goes towards that water conservation and not having to have bottled water and things like that in the hotels and even in office buildings. Is that how have you guys been working with that?
Yeah, that's a new market for us as well. The bottle fillers and the bubblers, and they're become very, very popular. And because most people are trying to get away from using bottled water for sustainability purpose, and also because of cost.
Yep.
It costs a lot. It costs a lot of money to produce that bottle, and it also uses a lot of water to produce that bottle.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people don't think about that every day when they're using it. But if they here in Atlanta, we kind of practice what we preach. And if we're really trying to save water, we probably shouldn't be using bottled water, so we conserve that water.
Yes.
But also, it's just a convenient thing. And I think I heard one figure that plastic bottles, as far as recyclables, only make up like 17 or 18%. That's all they're doing as far as recycling. And despite all the initiatives that they've had out there to recycle the plastic, it's not getting done.
Yeah.
So where does it end up? And it ends up in landfills and in our water sources. You find them in the lakes, the rivers, and it's just a constant chasing your tail.
Yeah. So the triple clears for us has been really an effective way to deliver that bottled water quality, at any point, basically.
Right. So the technology that they use for bottled water is primarily on purified water. If you look at any plastic bottle, it says, or bottled water, it says purified. Well, that's going through a reverse osmosis system.
Mm-hmm.
Well, with the triple clear technology, we're providing the same. Well, let me take a step back. The water that's from the RO system, they're taking out the salts and the minerals as well, then they're adding it back in. So that's your purified water. It's taken many times just municipal tap water,
yep.
running it through RO, and adding the minerals and the salts back in for taste,
yep.
and that kind of quality. With the triple clear technology, essentially it's a mechanical filter, and we're providing the same quality water as you're getting in purified water, actually more efficiently.
Yep.
Because we don't use the electricity, we use there's no backwash water
mm-hmm.
involved, so we're not wasting water in the backwash cycle. And then we're it's a simple process, and we're not stripping out the minerals, and so we don't have to add anything back in. So the minerals and the salts stay in, and you have purified water.
Yep.
All the same.
Yep. I use it in my house.
That's right.
Yeah. No, it's great to be able to have that level of quality on demand, for sure.
Right. And whether or not you want bottled water quality at every tap in your home, we can provide those services, or
mm-hmm.
we can stage it up to a system that go 400 gallons per minute, 120 to 400 gallons per minute in a commercial building, whether it's a hospital or hotel, hospitality,
mm-hmm.
a commercial building, or a school, university. We can handle those flow rates. I think the biggest system that they've done so far is up to 1,200 gallons per minute by putting them in parallel.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome. So what other, beyond the triple clear and the hydroflow tower tech that we just talked about around the water quality, what other products have got you excited going into 2020?
Let's talk about Tower Tech for a second.
Sure.
That's a company that everybody needs to pay attention to, because when we're talking about efficiency, we're talking about water conservation, especially in Atlanta. It covers all those things. So when you analyze and you're evaluating a cooling tower for your water, whether it's for a water cooled chiller or it's for process cooling, you need to focus on taking a look at the total life cycle cost of that cooling tower. In many cases, the cooling tower is going to be, installed for 25, 30 years many times, sometimes even longer than that, and you're saddled with that cost. So the actual initial cost of that cooling tower, if you look at it from percentage-wise, on a total life cycle cost analysis, is anywhere from 12 to 15%.
Mm-hmm.
And the rest of the time it's in there for the 25, 30 years, it's 85% in water, power,
yep.
and chemicals,
yep.
and maintenance. So if you look at it from those aspects, and you really focus on the total cost of the tower, you really need to focus on all those aspects to look at the total life cycle cost. And in almost every single analysis I've done, Tower Tech has by far been the lowest cost
life cycle, sure.
cooling tower.
Yeah, they say the lowest cost per kWh, right?
Right, and the other thing,
kWh per ton.
That's exactly right. But the other big focus there, when we were talking about Legionnaires' disease, well, we've been talking about Legionnaires' disease for 44 years now, right? Since it's been identified in 1976. Well, since then, we haven't really tackled the problem.
Yeah.
And I think we got to pay attention to technologies when used together can easily solve that problem. With Tower Tech, it's designed to greatly mitigate the risk just on the cooling tower side for Legionnaire's disease outbreaks.
Yep.
And but we're not seeing it in the specifications like we should, and that should be the number one reason that I think that owners should take a look at it. If you have a cooling tower, why wouldn't you want to have something that has the least amount of risk?
Yep.
It's a simple question, and we have a solid solution. And many, whether it's a healthcare industry or even hotels, the ones that are focusing on that and being proactive and putting that in their systems as a design standard are the ones that have greatly reduced their risk.
Yeah, eliminating some of the origination point for the bacteria, right? The flow-through basin.
Yeah, well, it has a flow-through basin. We don't have algae issues because the fill is not exposed to the sunlight, so it has nowhere to grow. We're moving that water at 5 to 7 feet per second going through the flow-through basin. We have, we don't have a lot of scaling issues too. So there's a lot of nutrient sources for the bacteria to grow and proliferate, and when we're able to eliminate those sources, well, the bacteria can't grow and proliferate. But even taking a step further, when we go back and say, let's not get any of the bacteria in the cooling tower in the first place, right? So by using Tower Tech, by using Triple Clear and HydroFlow in that system, we kill there's no bacteria in that system that I just described to you.
Yeah. I mean, it makes a lot of sense from the sustainability, reducing the energy and power, but also from that risk mitigation as well, being able to eliminate the bacteria and the risk.
Well, we call it, Southeast Pump and Equipment came up with a term called System 288.
Mm-hmm.
And System 288 is exactly what we described right there on the condenser water system. For your cooling tower, we use Tower Tech. We use Triple Clear, whether it's on a point of entry or a cooling tower makeup line.
Yep.
And we use HydroFlow. As that water is circulating, we're constantly treating. Still use chemicals. We're not saying don't use chemicals. Use the typical biocides. You'll need a lot less of them.
Sure.
And I haven't met one customer yet that wants to buy more biocide. They want to try to figure out a way to reduce the biocide, right? So we're able to reduce that biocide levels way down, but at the same time, make it more effective. It's a win-win.
Yeah, and even can drive down, increase the efficiency of their chillers as well, right?
Absolutely. So big problem. Yeah, if you can imagine, how does that relate to the chiller, which they always get a lot of attention. But when those condenser tubes become fouled with scale and biofilm, it doesn't take a whole lot. Like 0.9 millimeters of just scale will greatly reduce the efficiency of that chiller. So it's simple math, and you can do the part loading. We can do the calculations, and you'll see immediate paybacks that are happening, because if you can maintain those condensers to like new quality crystal clean tubes, you're optimizing the efficiency of that whole system.
Sure.
Especially the chiller.
Yeah, and you can take advantage of the part load efficiencies of the tower, like you said, or you could decide to just drive your condenser water temperature down and feed the chiller with lower temperature. Even just depending on the system, I guess, which would give you the better efficiencies. But
right, yeah. So in the part loading time of the year, we're able to, with this technology, we're able to provide colder condenser water, and for every degree colder condenser water we provide to the chiller, we've made the chiller more efficient.
Yep. Yeah, and usually the power consumption on the chiller is much higher than the cooling tower. So
absolutely,
being able to reduce the load on the chiller is massive.
That's exactly right.
So yeah, that's awesome. So what other, moving beyond those three, what else are you guys working on for 2020? What's got you excited?
Well, those are the two that are most exciting to me.
They're big, sure.
Those are the other things is, we're really good at optimizing pump systems, whether it's on the HVAC side or on domestic water booster systems. Many of those systems are oversized and the controls on them are inadequate. Believe it or not, there's still a lot of fixed speed systems out there in Atlanta. Many of them just running in hand.
Oh gosh.
and you know, they're just not optimized and they're oversized. And so what we've been able to do is with our history and our background, we'll be able to do audits, energy audits, so we have a good profile of buildings, and with that library of history of different case studies that we've done, we know how to size and right size and optimize these domestic water systems, and we're seeing energy reductions, easy 65%.
Yep.
But in many cases, if you right size it, we're seeing up in the high 80s, 90s.
Definitely.
And we're a Georgia Power commercial trade ally, and we're able to actually take those findings and those studies and get our end users, our customers, energy efficiency rebates in the commercial market.
And those are only going to improve with everything that's going on with these new DOE regulations around the pump efficiency index, the PEI, and the ER, the energy ratings from Hydraulic Institute.
Yes, we're really excited about that. It's been a long time coming. It seems like the pumping technology, it's the last frontier of finding energy efficiency in commercial buildings, and not just commercial buildings, but any type of pumping application. And we're blessed to be partnered with Grundfos, and Grundfos has been really innovative in coming up with the most efficient solutions, whether it's on the actual pump design, make the pump, but also integrating their efficient permanent magnet motors and controls, all integrated into one smart pump package, whether it's an individual pump or a complete system. And we've been able to see the same findings, whether it's, like I said, on domestic water application or a hot water recirc to a complete HVAC, variable primary system. So they have a lot of stuff that's coming out, that's rolling out in the next couple of years with building analytics and distributed pumping and stuff. Those are just, we're excited to be able to go in and whether it's existing building or new design, to be there on that front to help whether it's designers or the building owners to really understand how much potential there is in energy savings.
Yeah, and that, I think the pumps have been kind of put on the back burner for a few years in terms of the attention for the energy savings. I think they're going after the big things, the lights, the chillers, things like that. But there's pumps in a lot of these buildings.
I think they've always been trying to do it. So the DOE, come to find out from, my dad was very involved in early on meetings with the DOE and Hydraulic Institute on. They were looking at this. How can we do this back in the 70s?
Wow.
So, but it was really challenging. They don't have the technology, and how are you going to be able to regulate it? And there's all these questions. So, Paco, Paco pumps out of the Bay Area of California. They developed in 1980 what they called the smart pump. And they use technologies like Francis vane impeller, big suction eye, double volute design, and they really improved the efficiency of in-suction pumps, vertical inlines, horizontal split case pumps, and that technology. And really, they've been the efficiency leader since the 80s. And when Grundfos acquired Paco, they've only expanded that and incorporating that and improving those efficiencies. But it's always been there. But now with 2020, with the new DOE, PEI regulations that you just mentioned, it really brings it to a visibility level. And we have a lot of selections. And the closer you get to the BEP point with the right smart controls, the more efficient the system is going to be.
Yep.
And really, when we look at it from a systems approach, like I said earlier. And a lot of times they'll say, hey, well, it's just a pump. But it's not just the pump.
Nope.
If you go out there and you're promoting efficient systems, you have to look at every component of that system. You can't have any weak links in that system, and they all interrelate. And so if you just take that into consideration, well, a pump is just a pump, and you just basically blindly go and put a specification, and you're not paying attention to it, And like I said, you could be straddled with that, energy hog there for 25, 30 years. And that's what we see out there. I mean, so there's, and it's fun. It's fun going in and be able to, show people how they can, really save energy. And when you show them the numbers, they're really, wow, I had no idea. We can really optimize our whole system by paying attention to these components.
Yeah, that's awesome. So, over the last few years, we've partnered with, Cougar has partnered with Southeast Pump, and you guys are our rep of the Cougar Systems control panels. What has that been, how has that added into the product mix that you're offering to your customers?
So when we look at a product, we take on a product, we want to find something that meets our needs, meets our customers' needs. And, they differentiate themselves because they're experts in doing controls. And they make features like their Elite control panel. With that out of the box, I mean, you could do a whole lot with that, with, touch screen interface, HMI, and having all the backup and the redundancy built into that control panel. Whether, you want to do remote monitoring, or you want to have, just to be able to, you can do remote monitoring and tied into their building automations, existing building automation system, or have a really remote monitoring feature where we have that function. They have all that covered, and they have the expertise there that can, help design that into the system.
Yeah, it's interesting that you mentioned some of those features. We're manufacturer and rep firm at the same time, so a lot of the features that you see in those panels come from years of frustration from my dad and Scott and others being out in the field and trying to connect the wiring on float switches and the field terminals, and scream and yell late at night trying to make that stuff work.
Yeah, it's one of the worst things, when you're out in the field, is getting that call late at night, like you said, or even over the holidays, and you're trying to help somebody troubleshoot over the that's where the frustration used to be. I don't have those frustrations anymore, because most of the time, it's very, very rare, but when it does occur, they can easily troubleshoot it themselves. Plus, Cougar has 24/7 support team that they'll answer the phone and they'll help somebody. And we have not found that in the other control panel manufacturers that we've dealt with in the past. And that's a true blessing to have a company that really cares and support their product out in the field 24/7. And and it's also the little things, like providing fuses and having them right there and ready, because who wants to be searching for a fuse at 2:30 at night? And having the control panels, everything is in the computer system, so they can take a shot of it, OCR, and they got the control panels, because a lot of times there's you can only imagine if a sewage ejector system has been there for 25 years,
the documents
typically the documents are gone.
Yeah.
And be able to source that, and looking for electrical line drawing, those problems go away.
Yeah, the scanning the QR code on the back of the door and get all that submittal data, right there on the phone is awesome. We're actually kind of taking that to the next level to where we're going to be offering a remote guidance support. So if you either via QR code on the panel, or we can text you a link, start a call with the technician right there on site, and we can see what they're seeing in real time and kind of give them some remote guidance of identifying the problem, helping fixing it. And then even recently we just had one, it was out in California, and we were able to remotely control their computer, make changes to the program right there on site, and get them back up and going. So
it's ingenious. That's why we rep Cougar control panels.
Yeah. So that's awesome that that you guys are seeing that. Like I said, that's we tried to be that manufacturer that we want on the rep side as well. So it's great to hear that.
Well, you're bringing great ideas and innovative technologies that solve real problems. And that's what we like to think of ourselves as, solving problems.
Yeah.
We look to find and seek out our partners that can help us get there and provide those solutions to our customers.
Yeah. No, I definitely agree with that. And, I love that we have that, in this industry, have that tangible impact. We're solving problems, but it's in actual buildings you can drive around and oh, I've got equipment in that building. And, my dad used to say that when we were growing up. He'd always point out and say, oh, we've got equipment in that building. We'd roll our eyes. Oh, Dad, come on. And now I'm doing the same thing to my wife and kids,
Yeah.
And so, it's great to be able to play a role in doing that. So,
Absolutely, and that's same thing. My dad still does it, and and I find myself doing it too. But it's good to be a part of that system too, and knowing that every day they're depending on systems that you provided to them that are responsible for cooling and heating that building, providing the domestic water at a constant pressure for them and in a reliable manner. And people depend on it, even though they're not thinking about it every day. They're depending on you and your systems that you've provided and that you support in the field every day, whether or not they know about it, but you know about it, and you're there, and every step of the way with them, whether it's from the design standpoint or aftermarket sales and support, like we just mentioned. Because there's always electrical, mechanical situations. They do pop up, and it's how you react.
Right. Not if, but when.
That's right.
So you've been around a little bit in this industry. I'm not calling you an old man, but you've been around for a little bit, got a little experience under your belt. What advice would you have for anybody that's just getting into this industry, whether they're, going into the rep firm or maybe as a contractor or a facilities manager?
Wow, that's a great question. I would say if you're open to, solving problems, critical thinking, and be challenged and help, provide systems that truly matter. Mm-hmm. And it's a great career. It's challenging. It's fun. It's on, in my opinion, it's on cutting edge and providing technologies that people depend on, whether it's mission critical and providing the cooling at a data center to providing domestic water booster system in a hospital. I mean, it's
or a major sports stadium, right?
Or a major sports stadium. Yeah. So, yes, major sports stadiums too.
Yeah. No, I think that's great advice. It is. I think it's a little bit of an unknown industry. I don't think there's any kids out there like, oh, I can't wait to go sell pumps and HVAC equipment. But like you said, it is a lot of fun, and
it evolves
too. It has a real impact. Yeah.
Right. Well, it's one of the most commonly used machines in the world, and you're selling pumps with electric motors. Electric motors probably one of the most widely used machines in the world, and we play a big part of it.
Yeah.
Our primary focus from 2020 and going on is helping solve the water problem in Metro Atlanta, from a water conservation to a water quality problem. Mm-hmm. I think we have them. One of the things that I didn't really talk about, and it's not just Atlanta, it's happening everywhere in the country.
Yep.
Is our aging infrastructure. And our aging infrastructure is one of the problems that we're having, bacteria problems in the buildings.
Yep.
And with Atlanta, we've had a lot of water main breaks, which lead to boil advisories. And why do you have boil advisories? Okay, well, because you have bacteria in your water that gets very, very harmful.
Yeah.
And they got to take the necessary precautions. But, how quickly do people respond to that? Do they even see it on time? So if you take a proactive measure and you protect your buildings, that is the key. Mm-hmm. That is the ultimate key. Is to, does it cost money for the technology? Absolutely, it does. But wouldn't you rather have the resiliency built in to your building? You're building a $300 million building. Why would you want to protect that asset?
Yeah.
Everybody depends on water. Without water, we won't be here.
Or without clean water.
Without clean water, absolutely. So that's a primary focus for us, and it's a challenge for our community, but it's also a challenge throughout the whole country. Like I said, it's aging infrastructure. American Society of Civil Engineers did a national grading of our water's infrastructure, and on the water side, it got a grade of a D plus.
Okay, so that's much better.
D plus.
D plus. Okay.
On the wastewater side, it's a D.
Ooh.
So is there a lot of room for improvement? Absolutely. Do we have the money to go up there and replace all this infrastructure? that's a real challenge.
Yeah.
No, we don't. But what do you do in the meantime? We got to protect our buildings.
Yeah, I mean, there's some opportunities for some funding, some longer-term financing, things like that you can do, and rebates, like you mentioned. But ultimately, yeah, it's a risk mitigation decision, and one about sustainability and the quality of the water that you're providing for your guests and tenants and things like that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. No, I couldn't agree more. It's definitely, I think over the last few years, there's maybe a little bit longer than that, there's been this movement of this, eat local or sourcing local of your food, and everybody's really conscious of where their food's coming from. I think you're going to see the same thing happening with water. Everybody's going to want to know, where's this water coming from? Is it clean really? Should I be drinking this? So,
right. I mean, a lot of people don't even. There's been a lot of studies. A lot of people don't even drink the tap water in their own home. They'll go and get a bottled water.
Yeah. Well, that's all we have for today's show. Really appreciate you coming on.
Thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure being here and talking with you about, the challenges in the metro Atlanta area and really Georgia and the country all share the same water quality problems and water shortage problems I think that we're going to help solve. So it's been a pleasure, and the insight working with Cougar. It's just been a great partnership.
Yeah, it's awesome working with you guys as well. So, and I also want to thank you guys for joining us on this episode, and we look forward to seeing you on the next episode of Building Value.